Today, and I just need to let you know this is the same day for me as every other video you've seen so far. It just keeps getting later and later. Now it's 7:51. We are solving two-step equations. So example 1, this is additional examples. We're starting with the additional today. The mechanic's bill to repair Mr. Wong's car was $650. The mechanic charges $45 an hour for labor, and the parts that were used cost $443. How many hours did the mechanic work on his car? So we first need to understand the problem, which you're all like, well, yeah. So, list the important information. The answer is the number of hours, because it said how many hours did the mechanic work on the car. The parts cost $443. The labor costs $45 per hour. And the total bill was $650. Now, I got all of that from the problem. Here, here, and here. There was no guessing. It was pretty clear cut. So we're going to let H represent the hours the mechanic worked. So we're going to have the total bill equals the parts plus the labor. Okay, so the total bill we said was $650. We said the parts cost $443, and the coefficient for our labor is going to be how much he charges per hour. So he charges $45 per hour. So what we can do is we can put any number in for that hour, and that's going to tell us how much the mechanic made for that certain amount of hours. So we're going to make a plan. We're going to think first. So first the variable is multiplied by 45 because we do order of operations, and then the 443 is added to the result. Work backwards to solve the equation. Undo the operations in reverse order. First subtract 443 because that is the number without the variable, that's the constant on the variable side, from both sides of the equation, and then divide the new equation by 45. Okay? We're working backwards on this. So, our new equation, or our equation that we had previously, since you can no longer see it, is 650 equals 443 plus 45. Okay? So, the first thing we want to do is move the constant, which is 443, which we said prior to we needed to subtract it because right now it's positive. So we're going to subtract it from both sides. Sorry. Okay, and when we do that, on the right side we have 443 minus 443. Those are opposites, they cancel out. Then we take 650 minus 443 and we get 207. We have not done anything with the 45H yet, so that comes directly down. I don't know why it keeps moving my slide. Now 45 is the coefficient, and because we have a coefficient it's multiplying by the variable. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we need to divide by the coefficient to find the answer. So we're going to divide both sides by 45. Because when we do that, that gives us 1H, or 1 hour, equals 4.6. So the amount of hours it took the mechanic to work on Mr. Wong's car was 4.6. Okay? Look back. If the mechanic worked 4.6 hours, the labor would be 45 times 4.6, because we can take the 45H, and we said above that H equaled 4.6, and when there's a coefficient, we multiply it and we get 207. The sum of the parts and the labor would be 443, that's the parts, plus the labor is 207, and we get 650. So that checks out because his bill was $650. Next problem is n over 3 plus 7 equals 22. Think. The first variable is divided by 3, right? Because the fraction means division. And then 7 is added. So to isolate the variable, isolate means to get by itself. We need to look at the constant on the variable side, which is 7. In this case, it's positive 7, so we're going to subtract 7. And then we're going to multiply, because n over 3 is division. We need to do the opposite and the multiply by the denominator, which is 3. Because there's no coefficient fraction, we just multiply by the denominator. So we subtract 7 from both sides, like we said above. These cancel because they're opposites. 22 minus 7 is 15. And then we multiply by the denominator. These 3's cancel, leaving us with just n, and 3 times 15 is 45. Okay. Now they have you check it. I honestly don't care if you check or not, but it does help you get the right answer and know what you're doing, especially on a test or a quiz. So what they're saying to do is, when we check, we said before that n was 45, right? So when we check, we rewrite the original problem, and instead of solving it, we are going to evaluate the expression, say, when n equals 45. So n for n, we're going to put 45 over 3 plus 7 equals, with a little question mark because we're questioning whether it equals 22. So we're going to substitute the answer, which was 45, into the original question. So it's the answer. Okay. Now we're going to solve 45 over 3 is 15 plus 7. Now you're not going to actually move anything because there's no variables, so you're not moving anything. You're just looking at the left and right side. 15 plus 7 is 22, right? So because the left side and the right side equal the same exact number, that's what you're going for, you got the right answer. Sorry. So y minus 4 equals 3. Oh man, this one's kind of hard. First, 4 is subtracted from the variable, right? We have a y, we have a minus 4 after it. And then the result is divided by 3. To isolate the variable, we need to multiply. We always need to multiply when we have these types of problems, because we want to get rid of the denominator first. If there's more than one term in the numerator, we want to get rid of the denominator. So we multiply both sides by the denominator, and then we're going to do the opposite of subtracting 4 and add 4. So if there's more than one term in the numerator, you multiply first. So we're going to multiply by 3, and that cancels these 3's out, which gives us just y minus 4. We do not want a denominator if there's more than one term in the numerator. And then on the other side, we have 27. Okay, now this looks like a problem that we've done for many years. We look at the constant on the variable side. It's a negative 4. The opposite of negative 4, or minusing 4, is to add 4. So we add 4 to both sides, and we get 31. So 2 terms in numerator multiply both sides by the denominator first. Okay? You probably, most definitely, should write that down, because you're going to see that on a quiz or a test and you're not going to remember that because it's the beginning of the year. And do your check it out problems. You have a test coming up because this is the last lesson of the chapter, I believe. So make sure you are going back and doing those review for masteries on lessons you struggled with to get a little bit more help. Make sure that you pay attention when we study in class. Come to an FOL and ask questions. Don't just come to the test not prepared. Make sure you have all your notes printed out, filled out in a notebook. You're not allowed to use other people's notes. Only your notes, only your calculator, no one else's. So make sure you got everything in order for that test, because those tests are worth 60% of your grade, and that is a big percent and can really have an effect if you do bad, and can have a good effect if you do good.